Welcome, everyone, to GST Presents Top Global Startups. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. It's great to see you joining us from around the world. Today's episode is about something that touches every single one of us: food. Not just what we eat, but how the world feels or feeds itself sustainably, affordably, and at scale. We're talking about the global food transition and how plant-based living can move from niche to inspirational to easy, healthy, and scalable for everyday life. Because by 2050, we have to double the food supply, and we can't increase the number of cattle because 26% of the pollution's methane gas from cows. We need more plant based protein from the farm to the table. So today, my guest is Peter-Paul Biermans, founder and CEO of the Green Table BV, an innovative Dutch company creating plant-based, shelf-stable, ready to heat meals designed for real people and real-world scale. Peter Paul's journey is fascinating. He started as a molecular biologist working in pharmaceutical healthcare, built companies in market research and executive coaching, then made a bold pivot toward human well-being, lifestyle, and food systems. Peter, Paul, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here, and thanks for joining us. Hi, Peter Paul.
Hi, Gary. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you a lot.
You know, you've
Nice to
been,
be here.
yeah, it's great to have you here. So, you've been committed to nature, plants, animals, and wildlife since you were young. Was there a defining moment in your life that turned this passion into a decision to build a company focused on food and specifically plant-based food?
No, not at all. I was a youngster at that time, so I was going to the woods near where I was living with my father, and we went there in the early morning, and we saw a lot of animals, and that has formed me a little bit. Now this food thing is later. That was about 2015. But before that, I was doing a lot with human healthcare, with uh, well-being, lifestyle, things like that. So that has always been my red my red thread, my track.
Well, what was the switch, the flip that made you decide to move in that direction?
To you mean to the food?
Yes.
It was in 2015. I got aware of the enormous constraints that we couldn't go on with the food system as it was, and it would destroy the planet. It would destroy the way we are living. Something had to change. A lot of systems, of course, have to change nowadays, but the food system is one of them, and one cannot change a system, for example, in one country. It is a thing that has to be done globally.
Do you think, I just came back from Africa, Peter Paul. There's the 1.2 billion people in Africa and the highest population under 30 in the world. In fact, the combined population of India and China will be smaller than Africa in a not too distant future. It's growing that quickly. So, how do we go down through and impress upon people? I spoke at the United Nations and I talked about technology as a tool for peace. I specifically talked about by 2050 doubling the food supply. And I'm not sure people get it, how important it's going to be, and what the downside is if there's not enough food in the planet, right? There's
Oh yeah.
and those kind of things. So, and what happens if we don't do it, right? Let's say by 2050, which is one of the dates that people have targeted, if we don't go down through and do more plant-based protein, what's going to happen? Besides, obviously, people not having food, what kind of impact on the planet?
Yeah, yeah. The requirements for food are enormously, of course. If we when we look at the current times, one of the disadvantages of a lot of cattle is the climate, that we do not that we are not able to minimize the climate change. When we you see that because this LA woods were burning last year. You see the floods. You see the soil that is getting dehydrated also in Africa. If we do not try to handle that correctly, then there will be hunger, but we wouldn't be able to have our lifestyle as we have it now.
Yeah, and then people don't realize how quickly this is going to change, right? There's 8.1 billion people going to 13 billion people by the end of the century. And
Yeah,
you go to Africa and people are just trying to, in many of the countries, just trying to struggle to live, right? They're trying to feed lots of challenges, and people like yourself are the breakthrough, the light to be able to get through it. From your own experience, what's the biggest barrier? Taste, convenience, habit, misinformation, or something deeper about how humans relate to food?
consumer behavior is an important thing, but we cannot treat all the continents the same. For example, in India, people eat more plant-based. For example, in Africa, they are just starting to eat more animal proteins. China is starting to eat more and more pigs. So there's a lot of
Why is
differentiation.
that, Paul? They doing it because there isn't other meat there? Why are they eating more pigs?
Why?
Yeah.
Because they can, I guess, because they're used to it. They can, and because they are provided, the pigs are provided for them. They are even being imported into China from the Netherlands, from
Wow.
Europe.
So for most food innovation focuses on fresh or refrigerated products. And that's a whole other deal, right? About 25 to 30% of the products we have in a refrigerator, we don't use and go to waste, right? So that's another
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's incredible. And I'm
yeah,
guilty myself because you put stuff way in the back. Sometimes my wife will buy something, stick it in the back, and I don't see it. It's not that I don't want it, I just don't see it. And by the time I do, it's not any good. So, a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunity. So, you went in a different direction, right? From fresh or refrigerated products with shelf stable, ready to heat meals. Why is that choice so important, not just for convenience, but for global scalability?
for global scalability, because it's plant-based. The meals are plant-based, so they do not contain animal proteins at all. So it's vegetarian, it's vegan even, and if it's vegan, it's even halal. And because we made our meals allergen free, even people with food allergies can eat it. So we try to be inclusive. When we want to be a company that is providing meals on the table for anyone, the vegan one, the people who want meat or fish or whatever, they can pick it somewhere else or at another moment, or um, um, because we do not say that one should not eat any meat, but maybe a little less would be good.
Uh, so how do you go down through? People are overwhelmed, Peter Paul. They're busy lives, too much information, too many choices. How do you design food products that remove friction and make healthy eating feel automatic rather than like work?
Um, you mean to relieve them from stress? I
Yes.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from stress.
yeah,
People
yeah,
not eating so much, it gets on their mind, right? They get to the point, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And it becomes a topic that you have, half of the day sometimes thinking about what you're going to have for dinner, right? How do we
yeah.
make it better?
How we make that? Yeah, it should be an easy choice to pick your food for a warm meal. It should be easy. And now people are all stressed, and when they pick a ready to eat or ready to eat meal, they think they will be considered bad because they are not caring for themselves, for their loved ones, for the family, whatever. So when having this shelf-stable meals, we throw away the fridge. It's not needed. So it makes it a lot easier for people to be flexible, to do not feel guilt. We believe that making life easier is one of the most meaningful forms of care for yourself, care for the family, care for the planet. So no stress. That's what we aim at. That's what we aim at.
As you think about expanding beyond the Netherlands, how do you adapt plant-based meals for different countries? cultures and traditions without losing the core mission?
Oh, to have recipes that fit in the several cultures and countries. So we should develop a lot of different tastes and flavors and recipes. And currently we only have a few because we started in the Netherlands. We are now active in Germany, in Belgium, going to France, but also intending to start in the US and Canada. We got requests from Canada and from the Nordic countries in Europe. We're really talking about a global brand here, and change recipes is not too difficult.
So, how do you think about pricing, accessibility, and margins while still delivering nutrition and quality?
Yeah, because there are a lot of vegetables and legumes in it. So we and clean labels. So we do not put conservatives in it for shelf stable. Um, um, they're very nutritious. Everything is in it, and when you eat a lot of pulses, legumes, vegetables, you do not need a piece of meat. We say you should not eat no meat at all anymore, but let's say let's say do it halfway. That would be great. And in the US, there are also people who are in favor of diminishing the animal proteins in favor of the plant proteins. I think it's called the balanced meat. In the Europe, we call it the hybrid meat. Balanced meat is a better word.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I like that better. So, for founders building purpose driven companies in food, health, or sustainability, what's one lesson, Peter Paul, you've learned the hard way that you wish you would have known when you started the Green Table?
Oh, it's the conservative behavior of consumers. That's one thing. The other thing is it is difficult to be resilient and to go on and to maintain the ambitions and the goals and to develop it. First of all, of course, the development was difficult, but we did it. And the next thing is the market entry. It's always difficult, but when you are resilient and keep on doing, then people get convinced and they will try, and then so we are able to grow in Europe and want to grow in more countries.
Um, so, if you look at it, most food decisions are emotional, not rational. How much of the food transition is really about psychology rather than nutrition?
Oh, it's nutrition should be perfect. So it's nutrition. The people choose meals because they are tasty and because they're healthy. They're presumed healthy, and if we have about 20 ingredients in one meal, so there's nothing short. So they will have their nutritions. It's no problem. A lot of proteins too, and fibers and vitamins. It's all in there. Nothing can go out.
People say that they care about sustainability, yet they buy based on habit. What actually changes behavior at scale? What do we need to do to be able to get people convinced? You said sometimes people are conservative, but what's the turning point to convince them this is the right thing to do? Is it based on health? It's going to make you feel better. It's going to be better for your body. What do we do to convince them it's the right thing to do?
Yeah, it's a combination of factors. Most people they will buy food because they like it because it tastes well. That's factor one. Then the second thing is it has to be healthy. They have to feel that they are making a good choice. That they buy healthy, nutritious foods. And then a third argument is that they try to help to limit the climate change. That's the third thing, and the fourth thing could be that they like animals and do want to eat less animal meat because they like animals and do not want to harm them. So there are a number of arguments to eat vegan and plant-based foods. Um, why people are not trying it at once. for them all at the same time is because they're stubborn. They have to get educated. They have to. There has to be there has to be an offers of the right foods, so that they can buy it in the supermarket or elsewhere, direct to consumer. So there are so many arguments why most of the people still eat meat, about 80% or so, or 90%. But it's starting to go in the right direction, because um, more and more people are lowering their animal protein intake in a week. But it depends. As I said, in China they're rising. In Europe they're going down. In the US, I'm not sure. Probably the same as in Europe here. Um, so many arguments for people to to be hesitant to follow the early adopters and the innovators.
With your background in molecular biology, what myths about plant-based nutrition frustrate you the most?
What miss?
Myth,
What is?
myth, falsehoods, things that aren't true. What myths about plant-based protein? Things that
Nothing missing, because when one eats such a meal, one does not miss the meat or the fish. So one has a good feeling that one has eaten a nice meal. Nothing wrong about it.
But do they say it's not wrong about it, but do they say it doesn't taste good? I've heard that before myself, like with some of the burgers that they have that are vegan burgers, they don't taste like meat, right? So the myth is, are there things like that that you hear on the plant-based side to where they talk about something that's really not true, right? That doesn't taste good, it's not interesting, it's not good for you. Are there myths out there, myths, that people say about things that just aren't true?
Um, yeah, that depends. For example, Beyond Meat is doing badly now. Um, well,
And
that, that,
why is that, Peter Paul? Why are they not, some of these companies not doing as they should?
why they are going down a little.
Yeah.
I think the market wasn't ready. I think the consumers do not like it. Probably the taste. Other people think it's over processed. So there are a number of arguments, and that's why we have in our meals, in some of our meals, we have a meat alternative, made of peas, for example, or faba beans, for example. But that's just one ingredient between the others, and so we are not dependent on a meat alternative. We just deliver wholesome, complete meals, and the ingredients is just for the bites. The meat alternative is just for the bite, and not for the nutrients. The nutrients are coming um, from vegetables, legumes, uh, grains, rice, etc., pasta, etc. These things.
If we zoom out, today's food system was built for efficiency, not health. What's fundamentally broken in the current model? For instance, fast food, right? So
Mhm.
do you think big food incumbents will lead the transition or be disrupted by startups like yours?
I think the startups are pulling them in the right direction, because but they have to be aware that they need to produce and to offer healthy, more and more healthy food, uh, low sugar, low salt, low fat. So they are in the middle of doing so. Um, but well, everyone knows about the child advertisements, etc., to sell the chips and the snacks and whatever. So so in Europe, there are people who think the government should intervene to ban, for example, advertisements for small children or whatever. So there are a lot of stakeholders that have to do something, and the food producers is one, consumers is two, and they have to adopt the differences in the system. Governments have to help by maybe by legislation even. So there are many stakeholders here.
You know, um, is a climate argument enough to drive adoption, or do they need to take a stronger personal hook?
A stronger personal hook. One doesn't want to force people, you know.
Hmm.
That's the thing. You can't force people. They will they will be they will argue about that. So one has to do it in a way that people are believing that they are eating well, that's tasty, and that they are better off, and with them, the planet is better off, and the food system is changing a little in the right direction. So what is the hook? The offering convenience is also a hook, because when people are resilient to change and to get to follow the innovators, they well then um, they have to be assisted. So it has to be convenient for them to have a whole meal, complete meal, and a healthy one, and there shouldn't be meat or fish in it, not necessary. Can be, but it's not necessary. And most ready meals in Europe and US also, and globally, well, we all know the chilled ready meals. We all know the frozen ready meals. But there's a lot of food waste with them. They do not all taste well. So that's exactly why we said, okay, um, throw the fridge away. We make them shelf stable.
What comes first, the taste, the nutrition, the price, or scalability when you're designing a meal?
Taste is always number one. Price is always number two. Three is the healthiness, the nutritions, and four is scaling, of course. Um, we are for ourselves. The Green Table is able to produce many millions of meals per year at this time. So we have capacity to grow also. So scaling up is important. It's very important because we want to have impact with our convenient meals. And when you have a sustainability goal and a healthy well-being goal, it's nice, but it has to go together with economic impact, and it has to go hand in hand. So we have to scale up, and we are not a one country brand or whatever. We are a global brand, and therefore we want to go to as many countries as possible.
Are the regions where plant based adoption will leapfrog others similar to mobile payments in Africa?
Uh, I think the mobile payments in Africa, that's no problem. They already do that. Um, um, I don't know. I don't know. I think food is a little different. With food in Africa, people have to eat what they grow over there, and I think Africa is one of the continents where um, people still have a better balance in eating their warm meals. They probably eat more plant based. But if their economies are growing, like in China, whatever, they will start to eat more and more meat again, and probably they have to follow the cycle.
So, the food space can be surprisingly political. What resistance have you encountered from consumers, industry, or from institutions? Do they get it or not?
No, for example, the cattle lobby in Europe is very is performing very well. So the cattle lobby is working against, and then the governments are being convinced to provide subsidies, for example, in favor of the cattle industry. So these political things are working against.
So, just a couple questions and we'll wrap it up. You can, one misconception about plant-based food that you'd like to erase.
Um, that it wouldn't be what people expect.
Yeah, I would say tasty, right? So people don't expect it sometimes to be tasty. Uh,
Yeah,
one habit change that would have the biggest health impact globally.
one habit, just to force oneself to buy or to eat, let's say four times a week, vegetarian or vegan.
One country doing food innovation right.
Oh, I think it's Sweden or Denmark or the Netherlands or Germany. So it's the center of Europe that's doing right.
So we're coming up to the top of the show, Peter Paul, and we can stay on for a few minutes afterwards to talk. But what are your closing thoughts and how do people get a hold of you?
My closing thoughts, that people remember me. Um, um, just try our meals if you're able to find them. We will work on that, and you will find out that it's not difficult to eat healthy and sustainable at the same time, and tasty, and with a low price.
That's great. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. I want to thank all of you for joining us. We're close to 1,600 podcasts and millions of views, and it's all because of you. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition of GSD Presents Top Global Startups. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Thank you. And thank you, Peter Paul.
Thank you. Well done.